لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن أعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكثه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Jazakallah, brother Sayyid Mahdi Nukri, for that amazing recitation. If we can all recite aloud salawats for him. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farj. I now would like to request Brother Muhammad Nasser to please unmute yourself and begin the recitation of Dua Kamil. Jazakallah.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل 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 على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخضع لها كل شيء وذل لها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء. يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك العصم. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقم. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء. اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك وأستشفع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك وأن توزئني شكرك وأن تلهمني ذكرك. اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانئا وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا. اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته وعظم فيما عندك رغبته. اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا
Where's the folding chair that we had, the black one? Is it there or is it in the garage? Bring it here.
اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا ولا لقبائه ساترا ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترت وكم من فادهم من البلاء أقلته وكم من إيثار وقيته وكم من مكروه دفعته وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرته. اللهم أضم بلائي وأفرت بي سوء حالي وقصرت بي أعمالي وقعدت بي أغلالي وحبسني عن نفع بعد أملي وخدعتني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بجنايتها ومطالي يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك أن لا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي. وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا وعلي في جميع الأمور أتوفا. إلهي وربي من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنذر في أمري. إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي فغرني بما أهوى وأسأده على ذلك القضاء فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعض حدودك وخالفت بعض أوامرك فلك الحمد علي في جميع ذلك ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاؤك وألزمني حكمك وبلاغك وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مقرا مذعنا معترفا لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني ولا مفزعا أتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في ساعة رحمتك اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ضري وفكني من شد وثاقي. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني ورقة جلدي ودكة عظمي. يا من بدا خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغضيتي. هبني لابتداء كرمك وسالف برك بي. يا إلهي وسيدي وربي أتراك معذبي بنارك بعد توحيدك وبعد من طوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك ولهج به لساني من ذكرك واعتقده ضميري من حبك وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك. هيهات أنت أكرم من أن تضعي من ربيت أو تبعد من أدنيت أو تشرد من عاويت أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمته. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدة وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقا وبشكرك مادها وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلهيتك محققا وعلى ضمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة وعلى جوارح سعت إلى أوطان تعبدك طائية وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنا. ما هكذا الظن بك ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم. يا ربي وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه قليل مكثور يسير بقاؤه قصير مدته. فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عن أهله لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض. يا سيدي فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين. يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولما منها أضج وأبكي لأليم العذاب وشدته أم لطول البلاء ومدته. فلئن صيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي، صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك، وهبني صبرت على هر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النذر إلى كرامتك، أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي عفوك، فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقا لأضجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج العاملين، ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين، ولأبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين، ولأنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين. يا غاية آمال العارفين، يا غياث المستغيثين، يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين، ويا إله العالمين، أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته، وذاك طعم عذابها بمعصيته، وحبس بين أتباقها بجرمه وجريرته، وهو يضج إليك ضجيج معمل رحمتك، ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك، ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك. يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك، أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يعمل فضلك ورحمتك، أم كيف يهركه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه، أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفها، أم كيف يتقلقل بين أتباقها وأنت تعلم صدقه، أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا رباه، أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها. هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك، ولا المعروف من فضلك، ولا مشبه لما عاملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك، فباليقين يقتو لولا ما حكمت به من تعظيم جاهدك، وقضيت به من إخلاد معاندك، لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما، وما كان لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما، لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملاها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين، وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين، وأنت جل ثناؤك قلت مبتدعا وتتولت بالإنعام متكرما، أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته وكل قبيح أسررته وكل جهل عملته كتمته أو أعلنته أخفيته أو أظهرته وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا على ما جوارحي وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم وبرحمتك أخفيته وبفضلك سترت وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلته أو إحسان فضلته أو بر نشرته أو رزق بسطته أو ذنب تغفره أو خطأ تستره يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي يا من بيده ناصيتي يا عليما بضري ومسكنتي يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب أسألك بحقك وقدسك وعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي من الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورا وبخدمتك موصولا وأعمالي عندك مقبولة حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا يا سيدي يا من عليه معولي يا من إليه شكوت أهوالي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب قوي على خدمتك جوارحي واشتد على العزيمة جواني وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في البارزين واشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وعدنو منك دنو المخلصين وأخافك مخافة الموقنين واجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فأعرضه ومن كادني فكد واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك وأخصهم زلفة لديك فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك وعاطف علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا وقلبي بحبك مطيما ومن علي بحسن إجابتك وأقلني أثرتي واغفر زلتي فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وضمنت لهم الإجابة. فإليك يا ربي نسبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي، فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني منايا، ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي، واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي. يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء، فإنك فعال لما تشاء. يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته غنى، ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلاه البكاء. يا سابغ النعم يا دافع النقم يا نور المستوحشين في الظلم، يا عالما لا يعلم، صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بما أنت أهله، وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم.
الفاتحة.
Jazakallah, brother Muhammad Nasir, for the recitation of Dua Kamal. For the elevation of his tawfiqat, can everyone please recite a loud salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now we'd like to move on to the next portion of our program. I'd like to invite Dr. Muhammad Ali, the president of the Hazara Association, to please come on stage and give us a little speech.
Thank you, brother. And I would like to thank the management of the Al-Zahra Shia Association for arranging this Majlis AZSA-WR for Shuhada of Mach, Quetta, Pakistan, and also for Marhomeen of the Moulana, and standing beside the Hazara community in general on this occasion of sorrow and sadness. This means a lot, not only for us, but for the families of Shuhada, because they know that the larger Shia community in Pakistan, but across the world, are with them and then share their loss and share their sadness at this moment. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I was asked by Brother Ahmed to give some insight on the Hazara community in general, particularly and focusing mainly on the atrocities that the Hazara community, Hazara Shia community is facing in Quetta and around Quetta in Pakistan. To begin with, the Hazara are generally considered the native people of central Afghanistan, an area called Hazarajat. They've been living there for centuries, and they had their autonomy for centuries there, till the late 19th century, when the king of Afghanistan at that stage, the King Abdurrahman, he invaded the Hazarajat area with the intention to subjugate the Hazara population into his tyranny and to put taxes. And so the way he managed to overcome the resistance of the Hazaras in Hazarajat by obtaining a decree from his ulamas, the largely like Sunni ulamas, declaring Hazaras as infidel or kafir and wajib al-qatl. And also he was able to obtain the support from the colonial power, the British people at that stage, and then both with the support of Sunni ulamas and the Pashtun living at that stage across the outside the Hazarajat, and pushed the Hazara people to the extent that almost 50% of the Hazaras at that stage, either they were killed or enslaved or displaced to the neighboring countries like Iran and also British India. So Hazaras at that stage migrated to the British India and settled in Quetta, Balochistan, and where they were given settlement by the at that stage. And the current Hazara population, they are descendants of those Hazaras that migrated at that stage and settled in Quetta and the British India at that stage. So Hazaras continued to stay there in Quetta, and they were known to be peace-loving, and then they were hardworking to begin with, and then they had love of joining the and also hardworking in terms of joining the sports activities and also focusing on education, because in Quetta they settled in the have any field to cultivate or focus on anything like on the agriculture, for example, is the only resources they had to focus on education, army, and so just to make it a little short, just focus like why Hazaras become target for largely by the extremist communities, because in late 80s in Pakistan emerged and were prevalent in the in Punjab province, but gradually shifted across all country, and then in late the Hazara people were started to be a target of those sectarian terrorist acts. So far in the last 20 years, unfortunately, Hazara people have faced many major atrocities by the hand of these extremist groups, which all of us know. They are not like unknown to anybody, so they declare and claim whenever they carry out major terrorist activity in the or planting bombs or car bombs or even filling a water tank with like a material that they can bring in the community and then blast in the killing large population Shia community. And then more recently, like this incident happened when the poor coal miners, they like all the like a lot of Hazara peoples are, and they go to coal mining industry. So so a lot of people living in Quetta, they go for their earnings either to coal mine, the coal mine, or to work in the coal mine, and then they go to 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 coal mine, and then in the vicinity of Quetta, or they try to do some business activity within their own community, because they're very much restricted. So these poor Hazaras were brutally slaughtered at their campsite, where they were resting after a hard day of work. And Hazara Shia community faced big atrocities. They staged a protest and peaceful protest with the help of the larger Shia community in Pakistan and all over the world, demanding only one thing that from the government of Pakistan, that give us peace and capture those culprits that are so brave and independent to they're allowed to carry those major atrocities against the peaceful citizen of the country. So Hazara peoples are facing these atrocities. These are not new for us. These are happening repeatedly. And we demand, with the help of all the peaceful citizens of Pakistan, particularly the larger Shia community of Pakistan and around the world, that the Hazara peoples are given the peaceful environment that they deserve, so that they can focus on education, so that they can carry out their business, so that they can be a successful citizen just like any other citizen of Pakistan. And to all of us, because a lot of us belong to actually the coal mining so I myself grew up in that small town of Mach. So my father was a coal miner. So and then I know that what it means if you lose one of your like a bread earning adult person in the family, because then it kills, it stops the younger children to continue their education, to continue their progress in their life. And then the children has to cut down because then they have to be the bread earner of their family, and which is then stops the progress of a bigger community. And this is one example. What happens in the last 20 years, that we lost many good doctors and engineers and businessmen. We lost a middle part of the city. We are restricted now to our two communities in the different parts of the city. So our youth, they cannot go without risking their life to the universities and colleges. So the either leave Quetta, go and settle down to other cities of Pakistan, or leave country, risking their life by try to escape the atrocities that at the moment the people are facing. But we will stay hopeful, and then we will continue our with the help of and support of our larger Shia community, and then the rest of the peace-loving and educated people of Pakistan and across the world to pressurize the Pakistani government to manage and control these terrorist activities, not only against which is happening against Hazara people, but also other Shia communities and also other minority communities in Pakistan, like even Christians and other people. There also are equally at the same level. They are being attacked by these known terrorist groups. So we don't need to name them here. It's not even because we know them. I would like to thank again. I don't want to take a lot of time from this Majlis. I just wanted to give some insight what's going on in Quetta and what's happening with the Hazara people, and through the media, through all the information channel. We know what are the who are the culprit, and then what's the government of Pakistan do. We know they have done good job, like in the last little while. 2020 went well for the Hazara community, but the 2021 started with a major big incident. We hope that the government of Pakistan will take actions and then curb restored for everybody, particularly for our people who has suffered for the last 20 years through these major atrocities. I would like to thank again the management of Al-Zahra Shia Association for arranging this. Majlis, pray that the Sawab, pray that for the Marhomeen of all the Mo'minins as well, those who joined this, and then those who took part for the arrangement of this Esal Sawab. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah, Dr. Muhammad Ali, for that insightful discussion. May Allah bring justice to all the Mu'mineen and Mu'minat around the world, and hasten the appearance of Imam Zaman, inshallah, so we may all be beside him as he claims victory. So now we'd just like to move on to the salam. If I could just request Brother Mustafa Naqvi to come on camera and begin the recitation. Jazakallah.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. او میرے لال کہاں، او میرے لال کہاں، ہائے جنگل کا وہ سناٹا، وہ پر ہول فضا، اور ایسے میں کسی دکھ بھرے دل کی وہ صدا، جیسے بچھڑی ہوئی اولاد کو ڈھونڈے کوئی ماں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، تم گئے جب سے عجب حال ہے بیٹا میرا، کوئی صورت سے نہیں قلب سنبھلتا میرا، گود اجڑی ہے نظر آتا ہے جھولا ویران، ہو میرے لال کہاں، ہو میرے لال کہاں، خود بخود ہاتھ اٹھے جاتے ہیں لینے کو تمہیں، کب سے بے چین ہوں میں لوری یا دینے کو गई रात बसा गोद में आओ मेरी जान हो मेरे लाल कहाँ हो मेरे लाल कहाँ किसकी आगोश है इस बन में बसाई बेटा नींद किस तरह मुझे छोड़ के आई बेटा माँ को भी पास बुला लो वहीं सोते हो जहाँ ओ मेरे लाल कहाँ ओ मेरे लाल कहाँ जख्म गर्दन का खुदा जाने धुलाया के नहीं जिस्म से खून भरा कुर्ता वो उतारा के नहीं क्या लहू ज़ख्म से ना वाके अभी तक है रवां हो मेरे लाल कहाँ हो मेरे लाल कहाँ हमारे दीन सलवात अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला मुहम्मद व आलि मुहम्मद
Jazakallah, Brother Mustafa Naqvi, for the beautiful recitation. Now, just before we move on, we'd like to request Surah Fatiha for a couple of Marhomeen. So can we please recite Surah Fatiha for Marhoom Mukhtar Huda, Irshad Rashid, Sayyid Sikandar Ali Shah, Maqbool Ahmad Khan, Sayyid Safdar Zaidi, Marhuma Shireen Ibrahim, Zakra Zakiya Sultana, Fauzia bint Ali Rasul, Ali, who is the sister of Dr. Adil, and all other marhoomin, especially those who don't have anyone left in this world to recite for them. So can you please recite Surah Al-Fatiha for these marhoomin? We're also extremely honored and blessed to have someone like Moulana Sayyid Hasan Mujtaba Rizvi with us to address the Majalis, and we'd like to really thank him for taking time out of his busy schedule to give us this amazing opportunity with him. So if we can all just welcome him with a loud salawats.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا رحمة للعالمين أبي القاسم محمد والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. All praise and glory belongs to Allah, the Creator, the Sustainer, the Provider, the guiding force, the organizing force, the intelligent force, and with all of the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that become apparent for those eyes that are willing to see the signs of the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The biggest blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows upon His creation. And it can be asked as a question as well, and I would suggest that the people who are listening to me or they can see me, for them to ask themselves, and this actually a person should do repeatedly during the day, but to ask yourself, what is the biggest blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon you? And recognition of blessing and understanding the purpose of blessing is actually one of those knowledge that benefits human beings the most, according to the sixth Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. And he has placed this knowledge of understanding the blessing, recognizing the blessing, and also to utilize the blessing for the purpose given with the same stature of knowledge as the marifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also on the same stature as knowing what will make a person to get out of the circle of the religion of Islam. So according to Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, and he being an individual who is recognized throughout history even by non-Muslims and by Muslims, that he is someone who initiated many of the sciences and the branches of knowledge, and that through his teachings, humanity took that turn towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are in debt to the Imam. So there is no one better to be able to come up with the categories that would be the most beneficial to a human being as far as knowledge is concerned. So you and I have to ask the question, what is the biggest blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us? And on hourly basis, we should ask ourselves and try to recognize and what are the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us. Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, was asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to tell the people to fall in love with him. And Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam said that, Ya Allah, I myself, I'm in love with you, but how can I make others fall in love with you? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Musa alayhi salam that go and tell them to count the blessings that I have bestowed upon you. Once my creation starts counting the blessings that I have bestowed upon them, they will automatically fall in love. And not recognizing the blessing and not being thankful, and also not utilizing the blessing for the purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, is classified as kufr. In the Holy Quran, when you look at one of the particular verses which is actually famous for us, and the approximate meaning or the understanding, the Arabic is the Quran, but the meaning and the understanding that we have is not the infallible word. We can always get better in understanding, and we can always translate the verses of the Quran better, but the translation is not the Quran. that, either a person is going to be in the state of kufr, or the person is going to be in the state of shukr. Shukr means to express. Shukr means to make it known. Okay, that the person becomes the embodiment or an expression or a projection of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And on the opposite side, when a person hides the fitra that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, or the God conscious that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to everybody, or hides the blessings, or does not recognize the blessings, or does not utilize the blessings for the purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, then that person gets to the state of kufr. So the blessings that, I'm going to ask you to actually, yes, I know that you are asking yourself what is the biggest blessing, or you have to ask yourself every hour. You do have to recognize it, you do have to understand it, you do have to go and utilize that blessing for the purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given. But I'll give you the blessing that is the biggest one, and you need to think over. So the biggest blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon His creation, in your mind, things like Quran will come, or Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will come, or Imam Masmin alayhi salam will come, or the Azhar of Imam Hussain sallallahu will come, or for example, our Fruedeen, there are also blessings that if somebody is able to perform salah, or somebody is able to perform fasting, and they are prescribed for a certain purpose. Or you might think of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that a person can acquire by going through practice, make it even to the skill and habit of the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a person's character, like generosity, like patience, like forbearance, all the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of these things might be coming to your mind, and for some people, if these things did not come to their mind first, they might be thinking about health, they might be thinking about money, they might be thinking about shelter, food, the basic necessities that a human being requires as blessings. But all of them, Quran, Ahlul Bayt, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Fruedeen, Akhlaq, or the material blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed, they all would mean nothing if He had not given us the existence. Because He has given us existence, therefore we have awareness, therefore we have feeling, therefore we have thought, therefore we can recognize, therefore we know and we can recite Quran, therefore we can recognize Imam Hussain sallallahu do the Azhar of Imam Hussain sallallahu because He has given us existence, we can pray namaz, we can do fasting. But if He had not given us existence, we would not even be aware of ourselves or anything else for that matter. So life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows is the biggest blessing, because it is through this life or existence, then all the rest of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are bestowed and recognized, and thanks is given, and a person feels the closeness or falls in love with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if He did not give you and I existence, then we would not be having, you would not know anything, you would not be aware of your own self. You would not experience any joy or pain or anything like that in your life. You will not be able to taste anything. You would not have anything. You will not be able to, have your wife or your children, or have a house, or have a job. I mean, all of these blessings that we are going to count that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us. Even sickness is a blessing. That Imam Sajjad alayhi says in Saif Sajjad, or the meaning is such that, "Oh Allah, I do not know to be thankful to you in the state of illness or in the state of health, because when I am ill, my sins are forgiven, and when I'm in the state of health, I have the strength to submit and to obey you." So this point of view, where existence becomes the most or the biggest blessing through which everything else stems from, right, is the biggest blessing in the worldview of Tawheed. For a Mawahid, for a person who acts and speaks and lives and sees and hears and responds and has love, uh, is alive, is looking, has become, and is looking through Tawheed. For that person, the biggest blessing is the existence or life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us. And not to appreciate it, not to recognize it, and to say why you created me, or to not use it for the purpose that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, or try to do anything to end it. All of that becomes the stages of kufr, and that viewpoint, looking at the world, is of kufr and not of tawheed, and not to be, and not to be thankful. So in this blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given, which is the biggest blessing, if someone takes it unjustly, if a person takes a life unjustly, without the, against the laws of justice, against the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then this person is going to have to suffer the consequences and the pain and the punishment, the remorse and regret, and the guilt of as if killing all of humanity. See? So when a martyr becomes, it's not that the enemy makes a person a martyr. A martyr becomes himself or herself by bearing witness in their life and living a life of a muwahhid, that their life shows that the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that in their life there is hope, which is the army of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And having no hope is from the army of kufr, is from the army of shaitan. So this person becomes a witness to tawheed, to recognition of the blessings, to participating in those actions that are prescribed for the purpose that the blessings are given. This person becomes that, and the enemy sees that person's existence as a threat, and kills him in the battlefield or unjustly. So it's not the enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not have the power to make a person a martyr. The person himself becomes that. So therefore, Imam Ali has said in Nahjul Balagha that man mata minkum ala farashihi, whoever dies among you on their deathbed, wa huwa ala ma'rifati haqqi rabbih wa rasulihi wa ahli baytihi mata shahida. And whoever dies among you on their deathbed and is in a state of recognizing, of having the ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rights. What are the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? A person who gives you the blessings, the right for that is that we become in a state of being thankful and not be ungrateful. To recognize that He has given you that as a blessing. Not to be in an atheistic state of mind where you complain that why you gave me existence. But in a submission of the will and of the heart and of the mind in front of that Creator who gave you the existence and made you an eternal being. What are the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We think it's just the Furu'e Deen. No, it's not just the Furu'e Deen, the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your state of being in which you see Him or He sees you is the right of Allah. Imam Khomeini said that the actual namaz starts after the musalla. We have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala like this, you know. We go for 17 minutes and we say, Assalamu alaikum, how are you doing? Everything good for 5 minutes. And even in that, we're thinking about the business, about the job of the lost keys, or all the other garbage in our life that we bring out in namaz. And then after that, say, okay, Khuda Hafiz, see you off, you know, in about a couple of hours at Zohr time or Asr time or Maghrib time. As if after that, we're not in front of Him. We are in the presence of Allah. And it is the best things that He has given us existence. We are an eternal being. We don't die. We only get transferred. And specifically, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said to us not to even bring the idea of death for a particular group of people. وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ الَّذِينَ قُتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتًا بَلْ أَحْيَاءٌ. Now, do not consider of those people who have been killed, who have died in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be dead. You're not allowed to even have the thought come to your mind. Do not consider it. They are alive. And they are with their Lord and they are getting sustenance. I'd like to congratulate of the brothers and sisters and the families who have, that their loved ones have achieved this level of martyrdom. It's a state of congrats. And on the other side, it's also our condolences for the loss of such a being, that a daughter who has lost the shelter of the security of the father, or a son who has lost the essence and the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the shape of a mother, or a brother who has lost his arm as his arm was his brother, or the brother who has lost a sister who was the second mother to him. We feel bad. We feel bad, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give the families of the martyrs the forbearance and the strength to be able to cope with this loss. But on the other side, we congratulate you that now you have a person in your family that has reached the level of a martyr. Then Imam says, whoever dies among you on his deathbed or her deathbed and has the marifah of the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to recognize that He sees you and to see Him in your life. You know, we're told more and more with this materialistic and sort of secular thinking, which is very unfortunate and makes me quite sad. And, you know, for years and years, I've seen the communities, I've seen little kids grow up as adults, married, having children, careers, you know, for the last 28 years. And it makes me very sad that we have left the vision of Imam Hussein. We have left the vision of Imam Ali alayhi salam. We have left the vision of the Holy Prophet. We have left the vision of the Holy Quran. And instead, we have developed the vision of a materialistic, secular, scared, anxious, material-loving, rat race, running, ferret wheel, ferret wheel that a person gets on this rut and thinks they're going somewhere they're not. And even made the religion as a material transaction between ourselves and the Creator. We claim to be a mawahid. We claim to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. We claim that. But in our thoughts, in our patterns, in our view of life, in our view of the community, in the view of what our purpose, our higher purpose is. We have those sort of thought processes and that are completely opposite to what we are supposed to be. That martyrdom is something, people don't even want to talk about it. Or people don't want to recognize that the biggest blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows upon us is the existence. So and then the marifat of the Holy Prophet's rights and the marifat of the rights of Ahlul Bayt al-Salam. The marifat of the rights of the Holy Prophet is that we need to understand the Holy Prophet, what he is expecting, of the efforts that he put in, that we are in his debt to be able to call ourselves as a Muslim. So in the Holy Quran, there are two places where there's one verse that equates a certain level of love, which cannot be just called love, but it is called mawadda, meaning that you need to get to the point where you are worried about the rights of the Prophet, rather than you asking the Prophet, Imam Ali, Bibi Fatima, asking them of all of the things that relates to you. Give me a son, give me a wife, give me a job, make me well, make me do this. Go to the Imam of Hazrat Abbas and can you give me this? How many times are we worried about the rights of Hazrat Abbas? How many times are we worried about the rights of the Holy Prophet? To achieve the level of qurb of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to attain that level of as a representative of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to reach the heights of spirituality, like Hazrat Abu Zar Ghaffari, like Hazrat Salman Farsi, is the right of the Holy Prophet. That is mawaddat. Not this sort of, I love you and, it's reaching that status. And it's the same right of Ahlul Bayt al-Salam. So a martyr is actually someone who has all of this, and even if they do, pass away on their death, but they are, according to Imam Ali, a martyr. But martyrdom has many different levels. We have, different levels of martyrs. But, the level of martyr that we're talking about here, is of someone that if they were to live this way of life, they would definitely be, their existence would be lived on the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, if they were to die on that path, with the marifah of the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of the Prophet and of Ahlul Bayt al-Salam, Imam says that they can achieve a status of martyrdom. But this status of martyrdom is very different than when a person becomes a symbol of resistance. It is the blood of the martyrs that spills on this earth that can cleanse the oppressors. Nothing else can cleanse this earth of oppressors, of pharaohs. But the blood of martyrs can. The blood of martyrs becomes a tsunami that washes away the oppressors. They become the symbol of resistance. And therefore their names and their status, the enemy will try to do their very best to hide. Because the enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that they are a symbol of resistance, and their remembrance is going to become a threat. Their remembrance is going to expose me as the martyrs, that we are commemorating here. They expose the ugliness of the government of Pakistan. They expose it for the rest of the world. Them sitting down with their loved ones and waiting to bury them. because they're demanding something which is their basic right as a human being in any country that they would be living. And then the leader, he ends up saying that this is a form of blackmail. He pretends that he wants to be fair, he wants to be just, but the hypocrisy was shown by these martyrs, by these loved ones who stayed steadfast, and showed the world. This person who talks about learning from the Prophet or about fairness or ending the corruption is hypocrisy. If a natural disaster comes in Biladul Kufr, where people are not even Muslims and the leaders are not Muslims, the majority of them are, oppressing humanity. But if a natural disaster comes, they try their very best to go and console and comfort the ones who are in the hospital or the survivors they will go and visit. And this person, instead of visiting them, instead of comforting them, instead of actually showing by action, had the audacity to call that action as blackmail. How low do you have to sink? Therefore, this blood of the martyrs, exposed, and always does. And the martyrs, they become in that chain of Sayyid al-Shuhada, that they become symbols, and they become in the chain of the Sayyid of martyrs, the leader of martyrs, Imam Hussain al-Satus. And they remembered in the hearts of human beings who are human beings, who have an ounce of humanity. If those pictures were actually spread out all over the world, where basically mainstream media or the media is under the control of the oppressors, they don't do that. But I'm sure people have seen on different other ways those pictures. The picture of a mother sitting with his son, or a sister sitting with his brother, or a father sitting with his son's dead body. And it shows in the heart of a person with a little bit of humanity, this person's heart would ask them the question, why? And this is basically the concept that we have of the Azhar of Imam Hussain, and we're supposed to remember. We're supposed to remember the martyrs. We're supposed to remember their sacrifice. Why? Because their remembrance of sacrifice that they did, and remembering them, is something that allows us to be inspired to walk the path of theirs. And on that remembrance also exposes the tyrants and the oppressors. Women and children that were orphaned, they started the azar in the house of the enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And look at that. After 1400 years, the whole world, this light has spread to. And the tyrants are known. And their names are synonymous with curses. So the reward for us, that we can give to the martyrs, it's not just to have a majlis. It's not just to recite Surah Fatiha for the martyrs, but the reward or the expectation of the martyrs is that come Let our blood inspire you. Let our blood give you the strength for resistance. Let our blood make you a mubahid. Let our blood make you recognize the blessing of existence. Let our blood give you the vision of Imam Hussein, give you the vision of the Holy Prophet, give you the vision of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, and that you live a life in which you're not just knowing, but you are seeing and you become a witness. A witness is shaheed. But in this sort of material way of thinking and secular way of thinking that majority of us have come, yeah, we spend more time in the left hemisphere than we do in the right. And knowing is good, but it is not all. It gets you to the point of seeing, gets you to the point of feeling. Our heart, the Holy Prophet said that, there is a fire in the heart of mu'mineen of Imam Hussain that they will never extinguish. He didn't say it in the minds, it's in the heart. The martyrs speak to the heart. The martyrs are remembered in the heart. And it is the heart that is the most strongest, the most wide, the most biggest, the most enormous space that a human being has. Therefore, it can also become the house of Allah. And it is in that house of Allah, in that heart, that the martyrs are remembered, that the martyrs bring a fire of inspiration, that they become our role model. And this is what is required and what they are expecting. If you still are going to be, living the same way, having the same anxieties, having the same stress, still not bearing witness truly to La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. After all of this blood that has been shed in the last 20 years for that particular community, for the last 1400 years, if this is all that it is that we remember, say Surah Fatiha, and then afterwards, that's it. That's not it. You need to see. What I meant by seeing is see in your life the blessings. Recognize. See the worth of life as the biggest blessing. It's a sin to not recognize or to unjustly take a life. It's the greatest sin. There's no sin bigger than that. It's one of the sins that cannot be forgiven. And the consequence and the punishment is of the murder of all of humanity. That you become serious in your life, see the hand of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helping you. Have the reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let that strength, feel that strength to be able to fight with anxiety, with stress. Because you will not be able to fight with the stresses of life by this mind, because this mind is the one that creates. Here, through love, through compassion, through conviction, through feeling, you can fight. That battle that rages between the mind and the heart, that all of us are in that battle. Here you'll find Imam Hussein. People have tried to understand Imam Hussein's personality by this, but they cannot understand. They will come up with disrespect to Imam Hussein. They will bring the shan of Imam Hussein down when they try to use that. You cannot understand Karbala. You cannot understand Kufa. You cannot understand Sham without this. sacrifices given in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is out of the love of Allah. It's through your heart that you can find the strength. Bibi Zainab Salam was brought into the court, and seemingly the enemy of Allah started saying that, look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has debased you, humiliated you. You stand in front as slaves. Bibi Zainab Salam said what? She said, all I saw was beauty. Someone who believes in Bibi Zainab cannot lose the battle of life, cannot lose any of the battles of life, whether it's internal or external. We cannot go through more hardships than what Bibi Zainab Salam went through. She's recognized as Ummul Masaib, the mother that nourishes, the mother of Masaib, of Musiba, of difficulties, of hardships. We cannot go through more than what Bibi Zainab Salam went through. And if we believe and we love her, and we believe and we love the Shuhada of Karbala, if we believe and love the Shuhada that gave their lives in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that should give us an internal strength in our heart. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the opportunity to recognize the biggest blessing, which is existence, to have a viewpoint of Imam Hussain salam, of his struggle, see the world through our heart, and that we become courageous like the martyrs of Karbala, that our children become like Hazrat Qasim, that when asked, how is death to you? He says, in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, dying is sweeter than honey. The tears that we cry on the Masaib of Imam Hussain salam, these tears would have to have the direction of understanding what was the concerns of Imam Hussain. What was it that Imam Hussain salam sacrificed everything for? Gham-e Hussain, the sadness of Imam Hussain salam. What was that? We need to feel that sadness. That when we see the community normalizing secularism, materialistic thinking, normalizing, putting the patterns of the oppressors of the world today, becoming a clone of theirs, when our youths are becoming a clone of theirs, to have that broken heart to do something, to say, no, we cannot be this way. We need to find our inner strength. We cannot normalize sins. We cannot, make less of the vision of Imam Hussain salam. We cannot make less of martyrdom. We cannot make less of the struggle, internal and external. We cannot make less of the sacrifice of the martyrs. So if you cry for Imam Hussain, it gives you the strength to be able to do that. It's the love that Imam Hussain had that he showed in the battlefield of Karbala. It was the love that Bibi Zainab had that she showed in Kufa and Sham. It was the love Imam Sajjad had, that he showed in the chains, and sometimes being whipped on his back, sometimes stones being thrown at, sometimes fire thrown at, sometimes being made to sit in the sun when these iron necklaces would become hot and burn his neck. But his sadness was that he wanted to do his responsibility to the point where he can do justice to the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he can do justice to the rights of Ahlul Bayt, he could do justice to the rights of humanity. And this one narration reminds me of Bibi Sakina, Salamun alayha, and that these martyrs have inspired this image. These martyrs have inspired the image of when the Bibis came back and they were mourning and sitting near the graves of their loved ones. But more is Bibi Sakina, that, in the darkness, she's calling upon her father. She has lost everything. Her ears are bleeding. Her face shows the bruises. Her hair has the hurts of Karbala. She has been made orphan. A 4-year-old was frantically looking for her father in the dark. From one place in the dark, in the battlefield of Karbala, Ilayya, the sound comes, come, come. Bibi Sakina follows that voice, familiar voice of her father, gets to a decapitated body. That this body, it was hard to tell where is the chest and where is the spine. And here she puts her head on this chest, the tears flowing, lying on the decapitated body of her father. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are the Lord of the martyrs are with you, they're alive. Give us the ability to follow their path, follow the path of yours, to become truly a mawahid, to truly become a witness, a seer, someone who sees from the heart, recognizes your blessing, puts those blessings for the purpose that you have given. Someone who is waiting for the Imam of the time, and that these martyrs that I have given their lives are alive for them to intercede for us, and that we become the followers and the friends of the Imam, and then may he reappear as soon as possible.
حسین یا حسین، اے گل گلزار علی اکبرم ماہ تاباں علی اکبرم، اے گل گلزار علی اکبرم ماہ تابان علی اکبرم، حسن کے قرآن علی اکبرم ماہ تابان علی اکبرم، اے گل گلزار علی اکبرم ماہ تابان علی اکبرم، دل بر شاہ خدا گیسوں والے، دو گھڑی رک جا ذرا ماں کے دلارے، کیوں نہ ہو دل کو ملال کیوں نہ میں روؤں، اب نہ رہیں گے میرے گھر کے اجالے، ماں تیری قربان علی اکبرم ماہ تابان علی اکبرم، اے گل گلزار علی اکبرم ماہ تابان علی اکبرم، اے میرے لختے جگر ایسے نہ جاؤ، زینب مزتر کو تم چہرہ دکھاؤ، جس نے 18 برس نازوں سے پالا، جان سے پہلے اسے اس کو مناؤ، ہوگا یہ احسان علی اکبرم ماہ تابان علی اکبرم، اے گل گلزار علی اکبرم ماہ تابان علی اکبرم، بھول نہ پاؤں گی میں تیری جوانی، دشت بیابان اور تشنہ دہانی، یہ تیرا پیاسا گلا اور یہ لہجہ، ساتھ رہیں گے میرے تیری نشانی، یہ تیری اذان علی اکبرم ماہ تابان علی اکبرم، اے گل گلزار علی اکبرم ماہ تابان علی اکبرم، دشت میں گونج رہی تھی علی اکبر کی اذان، دشت میں گونج رہی تھی علی اکبر کی اذان، ہائے جھٹلا دی لعینوں نے محمد کی زبان، دشت میں گونج رہی تھی علی اکبر کی اذان، وقت رخصت علی اکبر سے یہ زینب نے کہا، تم پہ قربان زمانہ اے میری راحت جاں، ایسی آذان پڑھی کرب و بلا رونے لگی، چھا گئی شام غریباں میں یہ پیاسوں کی فغان، دشت میں گونج رہی تھی علی اکبر کی اذان، گونج رہی تھی علی اکبر کی اذان، اشک شبیر کی آنکھوں سے تو رکتے ہی نہیں، اشک شبیر کی آنکھوں سے تو رکتے ہی نہیں، ماں یوں تکتی تھی کہ جیسے کوئی پڑھتا ہو قرآن، اللہ اللہ میرے جذبات بکھر جاتے ہیں، رو کے زینب یہ پکاری کوئی دے مجھ کو اما، جوڑ کر ہاتھوں کو اکبر سے سکینہ نے کہا، بھیا میرے ہو فدا تم پہ میری ننھی سی جان، دشت میں گونج رہی تھی علی اکبر کی اذان، دشت میں گونج رہی تھی علی اکبر کی اذان، دشت میں گونج رہی تھی علی اکبر کی اذان جوڑ کر ہاتھوں کو اکبر سے سکینہ نے کہا جوڑ کر ہاتھوں کو اکبر سے سکینہ نے کہا بھیا میرے ہو فدا تم پہ میری ننھی سی جان اطلاع تم تھا بپا فوج ستمگاروں میں تیری آواز سے ہوتا تھا محمد کا گما سن کے آذان مدینے میں وہ تڑپی ہوگی جس کی نظروں میں ہے اکبر تیرے قدموں کے نشان آج جو اللہ اکبر کی صدا گونجتی ہے اس کو یاور خون اکبر نے کیا پھر سے جوان دشت میں گونج رہی تھی علی اکبر کی اذان دشت میں گونج رہی تھی علی اکبر کی اذان ہائے جھٹلا دلینوں نے محمد کی زبان. I request all of you to please recite 1 time Surah Fatiha and 3 times Surah Ikhlas and convey the reward to the Shuhada Millat Jafariya, especially Shuhada of Mach, all the community members, Marhomeen, including Marhum Mukhtar Huda, Marhum Ishad Rashid, Marhum Sikandar Ali Shah, Marhum Safdar Zaidi, Marhum Maqbul Khan, Marhuma Shir Ibrahim, Marhuma Fawziya Binte Ali Rasool, Marhuma Zahra Zakiya Sultan, also include other Marhomeen, Ulama Ikram, Maraja Ikram, Maraja Uzam, and after Allah Safa Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allah salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Ma'ajil faraj.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وأولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام ولي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلت ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة، لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها، ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها، وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين، وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي، وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولد كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا، وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبها بكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي، وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع، صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم، لعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. السلام عليكم أولياء الله وأحباءه، السلام عليكم يا أسقياء الله ووداءه، السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار محمد الحسن بن علي الولي الزكي الناصح، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله، بأبي أنتم وأمي طبتم وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما، فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن سيد الوصيين، السلام عليك يا ابن وللقوم إسلاما وأقدمهم إيمانا وأقومهم بدين الله وأحوتهم على الإسلام، أشهد لقد نصحت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك فنعم الأخ المواسي، فلعن الله أمة قتلت، ولعن الله أمة ظلمت، ولعن الله أمة استحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت حرمة الإسلام، فنعم الصابر المجاهد المحامي الناصر، ولخ الدافع عن أخيه المجيب إلى طاعة ربه الراغب فيما زهد فيه غيره من الثواب الجزيل والثناء الجميل، والحق الله بدرجة آبائك في جنات النعيم. السلام عليكم يا أئمة الهدى، علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. السلام عليك مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان، السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن شريك القرآن كعبة الإيمان إمام الإنس والجان ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Can we just recite Surah, but can we just recite Dua Shifa for all those Marhomeen, for all those Mu'mineen that are sick around the world, to pray for their quick recovery. So if we can just recite it 5 times. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Now we'd just like to close off the program by reciting Dua Faraj for the Imam of our time. So if we can all please recite it in our own households as well, alongside. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma kulli waliyika al-Hujjat ibn al-Hasan salawatuka alayhi wa ala aba'i في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Jazakallah everyone for attending.